Welcome to this wonderful August of 1952. This video will introduce the Headlines mod as it is in a beta version just before a release for beta testers. So the icon for Headlines is right here. The goal of Headline, what changes in gameplay is that reputation now matters. That the timing of your achievement has an impact on how your program is going to run. For people who love stories, inherently this works out. For people who are really looking for an edge to their program, there's also something that is at stake, and this video is going to look at the various features of the mod for you to decide whether you want to try it or not. So the goal of the mod is to build reputation as much as you can, because the higher the reputation for a program, the better are the crew member you are attracting. Now, you know, you fly the planes and you fly the rocket yourself. Where the skills comes in is in this headline specific skill that we are going to look at. So in the first tab we see here, which is a program tab, we have a summary of where the program is. Reputation is shown, and this is the actual reputation plus the hype. Okay, so this value here does not quite match this impossible to read value right here. And we can see at this current moment we have 125 reputation point. 9 of them is hype. And that gives us a 6% overvaluation. Over time, if you do not achieve anything, your reputation decays. It decays down to essentially the sum of the profile of all of your crew members. So there's kind of a baseline here. If you have really good people working for you, it won't decay past a certain point. The overvaluation is sometimes necessary in order to be able to get rewards, reputation rewards. But the higher is this percent, the faster hype disappears over time. The pace at which decay of reputation and hype accumulates is in the space craze field. The space craze can either be high, nominal, or low. At high level of space craze, people want achievement right now. Hype is easy to build, but it's also very easy to lose. And when the space craze is low, it's actually quite hard to lose reputation and to lose hype, but it's much harder to build it up. Peak is just for your own information, so at this point in this save, I'm at the highest point in my reputation because I just flew a pilot through the sound barrier and it worked out great. This score here I think may be useful at some point down the road for people to compare their score. That's essentially just integrating under the curve for reputation expressed in reputation times years. We'll see if that serves any purpose down the road. So any contracts that are completed with a certain reputation reward are fully rewarded only if the hype is large enough. So any contracts with a reputation reward of 9 or less are fully hyped. And that's what we can see here for the 2 contracts that I've accepted. This one is hyped twice over, this one is hyped more than 4 times over. If you check this button here, you see all of the contracts, including contracts that were auto-accepted. You can see that we're only 1/4 of the way for a 2 crew in space, for example. So in order to fully get the reputation reward for this contract, we would need to build hype. And to do this, the easiest way is to actually have our pilot run Charms campaign, as we will see very soon. So to avoid spamming the screen, I placed a filter, show all contracts. You can just look at what you've explicitly accepted. Now, it is possible that you're not fully hyped for a particular contract, and that means the public doesn't really know that it's a big deal. For example, right now, if we were to send someone in space for 1 day, only 1/3 of the reputation would be rewarded because there's just not enough hype. People don't know that it's special. It is possible to invite the press, so I'll click on the button here. And essentially, when you invite the press, you get their attention for 2 days. For these 2 days, you're essentially wagering that you will gain your hype in reputation. So it's actually 8.53 reputation that I need to get in the next 2 days. If this happens, I actually get a boost on reputation. And if this does not happen and the press leaves unsatisfied, it actually is going to affect the program's credibility. Dismiss here is done automatically 2 days later, but if you want to dismiss right away before warping, for example, you can. And if you gain the promised level of reputation, this button actually changed to debrief press gallery, and you just reap the benefits of your wager. So you have to be careful here. If I do not get 9 reputation in the next 2 days, I will actually lose 9 actual reputation points. Now the reason why we play this is because the higher is our reputation, the higher profile is our crew. The higher profile is our crew, the most they do for the program. And we can see in the impact section here that pilots have, through public relation campaigns and fundraising campaign, raised 40,000 funds. Our scientists so far have not attracted guest scientists or engineers. So there is no science point bonus, but when we have scientists or engineers and retainer on the program, you get a bonus to the science points that you collect. And that can go up as high as, I believe, 30%. So that's quite substantial. Having a really good scientist means getting more science points. That matters. Having an engineer on staff gives the equivalent of upgrade points and boost into the VAB. We can see in this case here, this is not the case because our engineer just sucked. And likewise, good scientists provide an R&D boost that is expressed in upgrade point equivalent. The second tab is the feed tab, and that's these are all of the events that are generated through the headlines mod. We've got the time, we've got a headline, and the body of the text, so you can kind of keep track of what's going on with the program. If you want the most amount of detail, you click on all. Chatter is more what you'd hear around the water cooler or the staff newsletter. There are things that are important internally but not externally. A feature story is more akin to what you'd find in specialized press, so people like real space nerds writing stories about your program. And finally, headlines would be sort of the mainstream media. And we can see that our only story that's on record right now is our engineer, who's kind of useless to tell you the truth, actually got injured in a drunken brawl. If you click fewer message here, it reduces the quantity of spam that you get into the inbox right here. I haven't quite figured out where people want to see the update for headline, so it's both showing up in the messages as well as in the feed. Our third tab shows the crew. So we can select which crew we want using this button. So if Genia is a pilot, she is at the competent level. Her headline profile, which is the same thing as effectiveness, is a 6 right now. 3 of these comes from her charisma, her courage, and her stupidity. It's either very high or very low. the public loves brilliant people and airheads, and not so much what's in between. She's got experiences, no headline-specific training, which means she could be retrained as a scientist or an engineer simply by clicking on that button. She has one collaboration with our scientist Edward, so that gives a +1, so 3 + 1, and then we have the experience here. Mood pertains to discontent and also feuds. But pilots usually don't suffer for feuds because they're not working on site. Evgenia has a collaboration with Edward, so that actually gives a mutual benefit to both Edward and her, and a feud with the engineer. The last section is the selection of the task. So normally in Headline you don't need to micromanage crew. They will just follow their interest and do whatever they feel is the right thing to do. Right now Evgenia is scouting for talents, but she could just as well fundraise, mentor peer, do a media blitz, or do media training to get better. If we were to click, say, on something else, we really want Evgenia to fundraise. You see now that the flag told what to do has turned on, and that indicates that Evgenia is guaranteed to be doing a fundraising the next time our event is triggered. However, it is possible that not being allowed to do what she thinks is the right thing to do will actually increase discontent, which cause a penalty to the mood, which decreases the effectiveness of the crew. So it's better to let them do what they want unless you really have an immediate objective in mind. Edward is our scientist, he's junior, he's stubborn, which means that if you're telling Edward what to do, there's a higher chance that he's going to get mad at you. Increase is discontent, which can translate into a lesser impact or even leaving the program. It takes quite a bit for a crew member to walk away from a program. The main difference between the pilot and the scientist is the impact section in the UI. We have 3 values here. This scientist has a 1-point impact, so this is the equivalent of having 1 upgrade point in the R&D complex. It's immediate, meaning that if Edward for any reason is distracted away from an accelerate research activity, this point would disappear. Lasting are upgrade point equivalent that will last for as long as a crew member is part of the program. So this is more about building a solid team rather than the individual immediate present time impact. Legacy is sort of the 3rd tier. It does not happen with junior scientists. It may happen with excellent 1, where you're actually making such difference to the R&D complex that even if this crew member was to die or retire, the impact would remain over time. I'd like to show you Jana. She's a good example of a pretty useless crew member. Our net contribution is 0. She only has 1 in charisma, but -1 in peers because she has a feud with the pilot, and she's also quite discontent, which means that she's actually causing more harm than benefit. However, she has the potential of doing better. Now, I just flew her as a pilot, and there should be a 1 right here, and that's an issue that I've actually fixed since recently, but this save just does not have the point yet. But we can see that Jana is pretty useless, so there is no impact on the VAB. And because she flew yesterday, she actually has no activity because she is on vacation. The recruit tab is where you find people to recruit into the program. So it actually sort of hijacks the process that is inherent to KSP. So you can see Elvira right here is an inept pilot. If I wanted to get more people in the program, so let's say open a new search, if I click on it, then I get a better selection of either inept or naive. Oh, they're almost all engineer. These are personality traits that have impact one way or another on the space program, and one inept scientist. This is a pretty crappy selection. Just for the video, I'll click on Headhunt. It costs 20,000, so we just lost 20,000 here. But you now have a collection of competent scientists, excellent pilots, and so on. So it's quite expensive to bring a crew member in a program, particularly if you headhunt. But the benefit in VAB upgrade and fundraising, I believe, offsets the cost. It's just, it brings to the player an interesting decision as to whether you want to spend on stuff or you want to spend in a more traditional manner in the program, buying upgrade points or upgrading various facility. The walk-in applicant notification is there is a baseline of applicants just walking off the street applying for the program. If you are in high warp, these people may show up and disappear faster than you can notice. So if you're looking for scientists, you can check this, and if a scientist show up while you're in high warp, it will actually cancel the warp and you'll be able to evaluate the new applicant and make a decision. The fifth tab is mostly debug stuff. But there are these two buttons here which are really for game. If you explode through range safety, or even worse, if you just let the rocket crash in populated area, click on this button. It's on the honor system, and bad things may happen. There's a small chance of actually spinning this in a positive light. If debris are falling anywhere away from populated area, you can click on this button. Chances are higher that you'll have some positive spin on the event, but there's also a chance that, I don't know, the rocket is going to hit a cow and make a farmer really angry, or will injure, fall on the house and kill someone. So there is no real easy way in the game to make these determinations. So that's really, these are story elements that are driven by the players. Everything else is bottom is for beta testing. I wouldn't really worry about it. These are when the random events are fired, and I just add buttons here and there to test various functionality. So that covers the UI for Headline, and I wish you good luck. I welcome all matters of feedback, because right now I have no idea whether it's calibrated for fun. It kind of works, but I don't know if it makes it fun for you or makes it fun for a majority of people. So that's the main purpose of the beta test. Best of luck and have fun.